Good evening, friends. We're live again tonight. This is episode 126. I still don't have a name for the show, but we talk all things investments, focus on cryptocurrencies, digital assets. So the title tonight is Investing in Digital Assets. Want to go over some tools, or I'll use the term tools, but some applications, if you will, or websites where you can invest in cryptocurrency. You can use the term digital asset if you want. And our first one right out of the gate is going to be to talk about Voyager. Voyager Digital is the company. They just announced today, actually, that they're going to be upgrading, if you will, to the Toronto Stock Exchange. So that will be great for the visibility of Voyager. It's an amazing company, great tool. The platform has gone through its period of having technical difficulties at times, being slow, various different things, but they've always come back. And that is where I primarily buy my crypto. You can earn interest, all kinds of good things. So we're going to get right into it here in just a minute, but just to give you a foretaste, we're going to talk about Voyager, the app, their interest, their loyalty program, just kind of some tips that I have. We'll talk briefly, in no particular order, we'll briefly talk about Celsius, another great platform, primarily to earn interest on your cryptocurrency, stable coins, and a number of other Bitcoin and Ethereum and a good number of altcoins. We will also briefly talk about Strike. It's an app where you can buy Bitcoin really cheap, and I'll also briefly talk also about Swan, another place where you can buy Bitcoin really cheaply. I'm of the opinion, especially for Bitcoin, obviously some of the other cryptocurrencies as well, I think you want to have a mix of self-custody, some, on a platform like Voyager, some in Celsius earning interest where that interest is better. Voyager's great, earning interest on most of the crypto. There are a few coins where you can earn a better interest rate on Celsius, and that's just another way to have your coins spread out, where if there's any, God forbid, problem on any of the platforms that get hacked or whatever, then you don't lose everything. And not your keys, not your coins, as they say. There's a certain amount of that you may want to do. We will eventually do a video on the different types of wallets. Dan at Digital Asset News does a really good job on that. I love his content. There's basically wallets on the different platforms like Coinbase or, Voyager. Celsius, in a sense, is like a online wallet. Then you have your, wallets that you can have on your phones. And then you've got the hardware wallets where they're a separate device. And we love those as well. So we're going to get right into talking about Voyager. One of the other things that I want to do briefly, I know when I'm watching a live stream, I'm always curious what software are they using. There's something called OBS, there's Ecamm, there's all kinds of things. By the way, if you're wondering, we use StreamYard. You can actually get a free account. Use my link, strammel.info/StreamYard. And all of our links are going to be in the description. Go to YouTube. Go watch this on YouTube. You can see all the links. Most of those are affiliate links, so they do help us out some. But and in most cases with those links, you get something, some benefit by using it. Whereas if you go straight to the platform, you wouldn't. And so, for example, Voyager, you can see that link down in the lower right, and then the code is in the description. But if you use that link, you'll get $25 in free Bitcoin when you trade your first $100. So that's a pretty good deal. It's a real good deal. So had a couple of friends already set up Voyager accounts. My younger son has a Voyager account. I've got several friends that now have a Voyager account. And just so you know, at this point in time, Voyager, so I'm not going to be showing you the app, although I could for my phone. It's exclusively at this time an app on your phone. They are coming up with a web version. It's in beta testing at the moment, but I can't wait for that. I actually personally prefer regular use from a computer, from a web browser. And then, of course, when I'm away, I use the app on Voyager exclusively because that's all that's available right now. I do have a Robinhood account. I use Robinhood on my phone most of the time. But when it comes to doing limit orders and various other things, I just like being able to do that from my desktop. So let's get into Voyager. I'm going to actually pull up some screens and just kind of walk through some of the features. First thing I actually want to do is go through the interest rates on the different coins. So this month, the month of August, they basically Voyager post each month what their rates are on the different coins, and it just depends. And they also talk about new ones. So Shiba Inu, if you're into that, you can earn 2% now, so that's pretty cool. Terra Luna, which has been going crazy, can now earn 5.75 on that, so that's really cool. And then, although I'm not going to show each of these, I do want to mention, Cardano's there, Cosmos. Want to focus for a moment on Bitcoin, then I'm going to tie this into the loyalty program here in a minute. But with Bitcoin, you earn a very healthy 5.75% interest. The one thing to notice here is you do, like all of these, have a minimum monthly balance. So you have to have a minimum monthly balance of 0.01 BTC. So for some, that could be a little more than you might be ready to have at the moment. So one thing you can do, which I actually do right now, I have several Bitcoin in an IRA, but as far as just a regular exchange, if you will, or brokerage account, I don't have a full Bitcoin. I don't actually even have 0.01 yet. I do have Bitcoin. My Bitcoin currently is on Celsius. You can earn, I believe it's 6.25 on the first Bitcoin. It's only 3.75 on the second, third, fourth, and fifth. So once you own more than one Bitcoin, you want to have it over, in my opinion, you want to have it over here on Voyager. Now, Voyager, you get your rewards, if you want to call it that, in kind, once a month. The one thing that's a little bit different and unique and attractive to some on Celsius, you get that weekly, but we'll talk about Celsius in a moment. Bitcoin, one other thing I'll mention, on the Voyager platform, this rate is locked in for the rest of the year, so that will not change. Some of the other rates on some of the other coins may change throughout the rest of the year, but for Bitcoin and Ethereum, we'll show you Ethereum here in a moment, it's locked in, and we'll talk in a moment about how this is related to their loyalty program. But with the loyalty program, you can get basically additional interest depending on which tier you're in their loyalty program. So you can see Dogecoin. If you're into Dogecoin, this is a good platform to have your Dogecoin on because you can earn 2% interest. One other thing to mention, I'm not going to go through the ones that are and are not. Once you sign up, go to strammel.info/Voyager, use my code. Again, get that free $25 in Bitcoin when you trade your first $100. But there are some coins, some assets that you can buy on the platform that you can't transfer in or transfer out. I think in some cases you can maybe transfer it out, but you can't transfer it in, so forth and so on. So take a look at that. Make sure you are aware of that especially before you buy anything that you're thinking you may want to transfer. I can tell you Bitcoin you can certainly transfer. Ethereum you can transfer. I know you can transfer Polygon as well, because I've moved some Polygon. This is an example where on Celsius you get 10 point something percent on Polygon, so it makes a lot more sense to have your Polygon if you're going to keep it on a platform instead of self-custody. If you want to earn interest on it, you can earn more interest on Celsius. Now again, I love all these platforms that I'm going to talk about tonight. I use them all. I'm a super big Voyager fan, but I think even Steve Ehrlich, the CEO, founder or co-founder of Voyager, also one of the originals for E-Trade, I think he would understand. He's just such a great guy. I almost feel bad, honestly, having some of my assets on Celsius, but also because I'm a content creator, educator, if you will, on crypto, it's also helpful for me to be active on a number of different platforms so that I can share with my audience all the pros and cons. I have my own personal preferences and allegiance, if you will, to certain platforms for various different reasons, but nonetheless, Polygon, you may want to buy it here and transfer it to Celsius and earn a higher interest rate. And Steve, if you are watching this, I'll apologize. Like I said, Steve Ehrlich is an amazing guy. Now here is where I can give Voyager another thumbs up over Celsius. Actually, Celsius offers 8.88% on USDC, but here on Voyager you get a healthy 9%. And again, you can get, if you're in the loyalty program, which I highly recommend, and we're going to get to that in a moment, if you're in the loyalty program, you can earn 0.5% more, 1% more, or even 1.5% more. So that's up to 10.5% interest per year. So divide that by 12 to figure out what your monthly is going to be. But that's awesome, and it's only $100. There's no reason why you would keep, in my mind, a majority of your money or any more money than you need on any given month in a checking account. Why not earn, 10%, 10.5% on your, basically the same thing as your US dollars. Now, of course, it's a stable coin. It does not appreciate in value. It's going to depreciate in value technically, just like the dollar is, because it's pegged to the dollar, but it is a safe place and it to earn interest. It's also a great way to keep your powder dry, as they say, have some money ready to deploy and buy some coins on a dip. Now we get to the last one that I'm going to talk about tonight. At least I'm going to take a drink real quick. The Voyager Token Vgx. You can earn 7% interest on. This is the native token for Voyager. Voyager just went through a swap program. I'm not going to get into that, but Voyager acquired a different brokerage firm out of the UK, I believe, and they had a token as well. And so there was a swap process that was going through. But if you bought, or if you do buy your VGX directly on Voyager, you don't have to worry about swaps or anything. Basically, we're now talking about VGX 2.0. You still earn the 7%, but this is the native token used for the loyalty program, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But the cool thing about it is 7% interest. Now, you don't earn any multipliers, if you will. The most it's going to be is 7%. Now, after the first year, I believe, once the loyalty program, and we'll look at that again in a minute as well, but once the loyalty program is in effect, it can be voted on to surely not decrease it, but maybe there's a vote that says that it goes up to 7.5 or 7.25, something like that. Anyway, 7% interest. You have to have 500 VGX. So right now, the VGX token is, hovering around $4. Let's just call it $4 right now. When you look at the bid and the ask, it's been as high as $4.38, I believe, over the last several days. It routinely can swing 20 cents up or down a lot of times. So you may want to buy some of that on a limit order, or if you're selling, you may want to sell it on a limit order. I wouldn't sell much of it though, because a shout out, since I'm talking about this, to all the VGX heroes, those in the VGX community, all those in the Voyager community. It is a tight-knit community. I don't know the actual number, but there's this group of folks. I recently got inducted, if you will, or got minted into the VGX heroes community itself. It's a subset of the broader Voyager community, and everyone picks their own quote-unquote hero. I picked 21 million because there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. It is probably the one, there's so many amazing things about Bitcoin, but it is one of the most important pieces of Bitcoin as far as I'm concerned. The limited supply makes it basically digital gold 2.0. It is what will primarily, or one of the things that will, probably one day bring it to $1 million and beyond. There's 7 billion people, I think, in the world, and there's only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So, I'm sure you can imagine that at some point, it's still not quite there yet, but at some point it's going to be like the land grab in Oklahoma, when everybody's going to realize, hey, I got to go get a piece of that. It is also acts a lot like digital real estate. So I digress a little bit. Bitcoin is one of my top investments. I'm not a maximalist. I think there is utility. I think there is a reason to have a number of the other coins. My personal strategy, primarily, not exclusively, primarily is invest in altcoins and, hopefully invest in one that's going to do a 10x, maybe even 100x, sell to make some profit, maybe still keep some of it, but sell to make some profit and buy more Bitcoin, maybe some Ethereum. So my largest holdings, Bitcoin, a smaller portion of Ethereum, and then some other coins like Polygon, which I mentioned. I had ACH and I sold that. It's a newer coin, Alchemy Pay, which is not on Voyager right now. I have some AMP that I just got the other day, but the lion's share is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I have almost 10,000 Voyager tokens. I didn't buy them all at $4, so guess I didn't. So yeah, do the math. 500 times 4, $2,000 is what your initial investment would need to be to get into the loyalty program, and that's what we'll talk about next. Actually going to switch back over for a minute, see if there's any questions, if there's any people coming on. Do want to recognize Crypto Airborne. Hey, my friend, thanks for joining. Let me know what's up. Crypto Airborne says, sold off most of my Bitcoin prior to the big dip we had, reinvested into VGX, Tormex, and other alts. So, hey, Crypto Airborne, let me know. I'm super curious if you, plan on getting back into Bitcoin. I'm going to digress for a minute because Crypto Airborne's making me think about this. I'm conflicted with the approach, especially with my IRA, my crypto IRA. And by the way, I'll briefly bring it up for a moment. I Trust Capital, not going to spend any time on it, just talk about it in context. Great platform, though. You can invest your, convert your IRA or even a 401k into a crypto IRA, and you can even buy some precious metals. But I've got a number of Bitcoin, a number of Ethereum in that. It is up almost 30%. Would have never been able to do that in the traditional IRA, and that's in a 2-month time span. But what I'm conflicted by is, what do I do when Bitcoin approaches its all-time high for the bull market that we're in? For those that believe that we're in a bull market, I do believe we're in one. I don't know how long it's going to last. I do spend a lot of time listening to others. So, I hear some say 100, that they're selling at 100,000 because it's going to go back down to 20,000. And of course, the idea there is, for most people, is not to sell and walk away, but to be able to accumulate more, by selling at a high point, waiting for the bear market to ensue, because Bitcoin at least traditionally has gone down as far as 80%. And so you can imagine, if it's 100,000, if it goes down, you could buy, back in, maybe if you had, one, you could buy 3 or 4, or whatever the math is. So you get the point. So my conflict, or where I'm conflicted, is, do I do that, or I do the safer thing, which is just hold it? Because we all know, I think most of us know, it's going from left to right. So, but let's see, I actually cashed out my Amazon 401k and invested it all in crypto. Yeah. Did you take the penalty? I don't expect you to necessarily tell me, but I did that with some of my, so I had a retirement plan that I had from a company called SAP. I literally sat on that for 10 years, didn't do anything with it. It was earning 3%, thankfully, which, right now is actually pretty good for something really static. Found I Trust Capital, and I converted that into that. Now I have a traditional IRA. I didn't want to take a super big hit on my income taxes this time, so I didn't put that in a Roth, but that's my plan. So, but I had 2 other small IRAs that I did just cash them out, took the hit, invested them. Almost a big portion of that, honestly, is in the VGX token. And that portfolio, or that money that I took from those IRAs, makes up a large portion of that portfolio, and it's up, around 50%. So it was worth taking the penalty. I'll take the hit, and I'm super glad that I did. So I get what you're saying about no use case for BTC. I would agree with you that it's mostly a store of value. I think when you go to Nigeria, other parts of the world, if we're honest with ourselves, they're actually using it in these places where there's hyperinflation as ways to transact. So it's not perfect for that, but they're using it and using it well. I think that it is another use case, although it is arguably a store of value. Many people are getting, starting to get paid in Bitcoin. I'm okay with it only having primarily one use case, store of value. Who's going to argue with something that's going to be worth $250,000 in 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, $1 million, and maybe 10? But nonetheless, we all have a little bit different perspective on that. 1000X on alts, cashed out, and storing USDC on Voyager. Yep. You should probably get some VGX then if you don't have it, so that you can turn that 9% into 10.5%. But yeah, you probably know that. Yep. Took the hit up front. Same thing for me. Okay, I get you. Yep. Cardano, yep. You've done well then. Cardano has done well. I don't know if it really is going to kill ETH or not. I think there's probably a place for Ethereum and Cardano, but nonetheless, I don't have, I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm honestly very happy for those that have been diligent, patient, been accumulating, buying Cardano on the dip, watching it go up some and go back down, and all the things. I'm nothing but happy for those that have started to see the fruits of their labor. I'm sure for some it's hard to sit on it at almost $3. I'm sure it's made a bunch of millionaires already. So let's go back for a minute. So Crypto Airborne, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to go back just for a minute to the to talk about the loyalty program, Voyager's loyalty program. And by the way, if for those that are watching, if you're watching live, or even if you're watching the replay, hey, share this out. Would love that. Like, subscribe, leave us a comment. We'd love to know a little bit more about who you are, how long you've been in crypto, anything you want to share. Love to get to know our audience a little bit better. So the Voyager loyalty program. Let's talk about that one for a minute. So at the moment, there are 3 tiers. They've said that this can change over time. I don't know if there will ever be more than 3 tiers, but it's likely to change some as the program grows. This has a lot of momentum behind it. A lot of VGX token holders are super excited. That certainly includes me. My average, I wish it was lower, but my average cost is somewhere around $2.30 or so. My son is going to Texas A&M. He took his college, or some money that he earned during the summer, that put that completely in VGX. He convinced one of his friends, or didn't even try to convince. He was talking to one of his friends that's also in college about where many of us believe VGX as a token is going, where the loyalty program's going, how Voyager Digital as a company is going to grow, the network effect, the fact that they're bringing on so many users, so many funded accounts. I could go on and on and on. Another day, another time, we'll talk about maybe some of the whys, but I want to talk more about just the program itself. So you have the Avenger level, the Explorer level, and the Navigator level. And so let's get down into, I'm not going to talk about the swap part, but so the Avenger level is anyone holding 500 VGX tokens. As I said right now, that's around $2,000. Explorer level, and I'm going to drill down here in a minute after I name each one of these. Explorer is 5,000, so you can do the math on that as well. It's 20,000, so it's quite a bit difference. And then Navigator, 20,000. So you progressively get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's 80,000. That's 20,000. This is 2,000. These numbers here could change over time as the Voyager token hopefully goes up. There are people that I think highly of that are very close to, know a lot about Voyager as a platform. Some of the know some of the founders, just to have a lot of good information, and just been in the crypto space for a long time. Several believe that it's going to be before the end of the year somewhere between 25 and 30. Others are a little bit more conservative, 10, 15, but you can do the math. If it goes to 30, that's going to be amazing. Another, I'll call it an analyst that I was reading about, was saying that in the next 2 years, 130 or so, which would just be out of this world. But anyway, let's drill down on some of the things that you that are part of each of these tiers. I'll use the word tier or level. Of course, across the board, you get 7% interest on the VGX token. And so, of course, with the VGX token, hopefully mostly appreciating, going up from month to month, you're earning 7% interest on an asset that is appreciating in value. So you've got compounding, two forms of compounding going on, right? You're getting more VGX each month, and you're getting even more VGX each month because the VGX that you had has increased in value. You get a yield booster in the Avenger level of 0.5%. Explorer, it's 1%. I'm happy to be in this middle tier. And then if you have the coin, have the money to be able to do it in the Navigator level, you get 1.5% interest. Now, it could definitely be worth it. Definitely be worth it. Cashback on trades, I'm not going to talk about that a lot, but basically Voyager has a system where they have a number of liquidity providers, and they all have to compete for the trade. And then so Voyager basically is going out there trying to get you the best price. So you don't pay a commission, but there's a bid and an ask. Voyager has to make their money some way. So that's the way that works. And so you would get cash back on your trade 1 times, I guess, the savings. Still got to look into that some more. And by the way, the loyalty program is going into effect September 1 of this year. So if I were you and you're new to Voyager, or maybe you're not new to Voyager, but you don't have any of the VGX tokens yet, I can't promise this, but I suspect that when the loyalty program kicks in, we're going to start seeing the token probably go up some in price. Maybe a lot, I don't know. But I would not want to wait until September 1 to start getting any of the tokens. That's just me. But, people with more resources that don't necessarily feel like they have to FOMO, fear of missing out, they may wait. They may be able to do a wait and see kind of thing. But I'm very bullish on where this is headed. If for no other reason that it's very attractive, I'm going to be in that $30 a coin camp until we find out it's not the case. But anyway, so 2 times cashback trades if you're in the Explorer tier, 3x, which would be amazing if you're in the Navigator. Now let's talk about refer a friend. So if you're just a new Voyager account, new Voyager customer, you're going to get $25, I believe, and when you do a refer a friend. But if you're an Avenger and you have at least 500 tokens, then you're going to get $30. So you get your own referral. If you're Explorer, you get 35. If you're the Navigator, you get 40. I mean, that adds up over time. And I think that's $30 in VGX, in the VGX token. All of these basically translate into you getting more VGX into your account. Withdrawal fee savings, so there is some expense with regard with that is involved in withdrawals after the first. I believe you get 1 free withdrawal a month, and then you get 10% off on anything beyond that you have to pay. 20% if you're in the Explorer, 30% if you're in the Navigator. Cashback on debit card, they're going to be coming out with a debit card as well. I think it's 2 to 3 weeks or so after the loyalty program has been initiated. So maybe towards the end of September, maybe October. I'm not 100% certain exactly when it will happen, but that's super exciting because you're going to get basically cash back, 10.10%, 0.20%, or 0.30%. Some other cards maybe return more, but imagine being able to earn interest on your USDC until you're ready to use it. You may not even have to transfer it. You may have to, but transfer that into your debit card before you need to use it, and then you still earn a little bit on the cash back. Pretty cool deal. Debit card's free if you qualify for any of these 3 tiers. The desktop app or the desktop access to the desktop interface is free if you're in any of these 3 platforms. Now, I don't know how much it's going to cost if you're not at least an Avenger, for example. It may be over time that it's free to anyone as well, but honestly, the free access to this and the 7% yield on the actual token itself, and then the booster, those 3 alone made it worth it to me. Again, thankfully I got in average price wise at about $2.30, and it's at 4, give or take a few pennies here or there throughout the day, but let's just call it 4. It's at 4 now. So I've also got a healthy return. I'm holding on to it. I haven't sold any of it. So that is Voyager. I'm going to go back to our questions here for a minute and see what else we got going on. Crypto Airborne is still with us, so appreciate them hanging around. Look up the Cardano ecosystem and dive deep. Yes, I'm very familiar with Cardano. I agree. Look into it. Make your own decision. It's approaching 3 if it didn't reach 3 today. I don't actually watch it every day, but it's definitely something you may want to start looking into. Let's see here. Again, okay, yeah, start accumulating VLP for, however, probably a week or 2 before you have to update the app to see if the UI, the UI will change. So if you have Voyager right now, it'll change and you'll have to do that update at some point. Okay, so let's move on to a few other news items that I want to cover before we talk about a few of the other tools. So again, if you're here live or watching the replay, if you share, like, subscribe, give us a comment, that would be awesome. We love to interact with the audience. So let's look at this is a pretty interesting article. Cointelegraph is a good resource. Is a good resource if you're looking to just kind of stay up on things. So this one says Bitcoin bullish cross on weekly chart paints 225,000 BTC price target if history repeats. Now this is where I get super conflicted, and I'm going to read through some of this for you. But what I mean by being conflicted, again, I mentioned this earlier in the stream, but there are others that are saying, hey, when it hits 100K, I'm selling because I'm sure that's close to the top. But when you got other people talking about a 250K, all-time high, and Dan Held, look him up if you are not familiar with Dan Held. I like his perspective. He talks about a super cycle, which may exist. Willy Woo, another great on-chain analyst. Hey, Willy, maybe you'll get to watch this video, but giving you a shout out as well. Willy Woo, look him up on Twitter. Great on-chain analyst. He, if I understand him rightfully, is not certain that the previous cycles can be trusted to repeat themselves. They say, a lot of people say history repeats. That others say history, previous history rhymes. In other words, in the current cycles, there's some rhyme, which means, in other words, it approximates or is something similar to history, but not an exact repeat. I would love to be certain that it's going to go to 250. That would give me a indication of a sell point. That imagine being able to buy into Bitcoin even now, selling at a somewhere around the 250K mark, and reaccumulating again at an 80% drop. It may not do that, right? But historically, there's examples of that in previous Bitcoin cycles where it reached an all-time high and then went down as much as 80%. And then, of course, when the next bull market started, blasted past its previous all-time high to reach a new all-time high. But so anyway, it says Bitcoin is wowing the market, holding 50. It did hit 50 yesterday, Sunday. It's Monday. It held the 50K for a while. It's at 49.1 or so right now. So it has since lost some of its gains, but it's still in the 49 range. It says data from TradingView now clearly shows that the weekly moving average convergence divergence MACD indicator for BTC USD has flipped from red to green. There's no shortage of bullish BTC price indicators this month. I'm going to talk about this even a little bit more here. I'm going to pull up my Twitter feed. I'm going to look at some things that I've retweeted. That's just kind of a way of me taking notes, and we'll go through that as well. So this is certainly bullish, but there's at least one thing that's going on right now on chain. Will Clemente, another great on-chain analyst, has tweeted about this. I'll get to that in a minute. But so the metric is a reliable indicator used to determine the overall trajectory of an asset in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has so far been no exceptions. No exceptions. So they're saying the last time that a bullish crossover occurred, which we just had one, but the previous time, BTC saw a 5.5x price increase from 11.5 in October to that 64.5 that it hit just 6 months later. Should history repeat, Bitcoin could end up over $220,000. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but they quote Pomp here, Anthony, and it says a prediction that tops even the more optimistic estimates for the remaining half of 2021. Stock to flow, Plan B. You definitely need to look up Plan B as well if you don't know who Plan B is. His worst case scenario is 135. He has two different stock to flow models, but that's his worst case. I'd be fine with 135. But new data suggests that Bitcoin could see BTC price doubled, or price double bubble top in 2021. Nonetheless, well-known names are firmly in favor of a continuing upside. There are those BitBoy Crypto, I think his name is. He's of the opinion that we're going to see a peak at around 100,000 or so, 125 towards the end of September, maybe going to October. He's saying that Ethereum may lag a little bit, and in other words, its rally may be extended a little bit, but he's thinking by October, I guess we're in a full bear market for Bitcoin and Ethereum at least, and maybe then you have altcoin season, but nonetheless, who knows? So you got to be really careful. You're going to hear a lot of different opinions, and that's what I believe, as good as some of these guys are, you need to think of them as opinions. That includes me as well. This is not financial advice. You're going to have to do the difficult task of taking all the input in and then deciding what approach you're going to take, and maybe the right approach is somewhere along the middle. And what I mean by that, let's assume for a minute that you have two Bitcoin. Maybe you hold one and never touch it, never do anything, never take any profits or anything. Maybe the other one, if it does go up to 250,000, 225,000, and you bought in at 40,000, maybe you sell it so that you can, when it drops down to 40, you can buy 4 more and then now you've accumulated more by taking profit, basically. So you'll have to decide that for yourself. That's very attractive. Obviously, there is some issues with timing. You could sell and you could think that, surely it's at the top and it continues going. And for another 2 years, let's say it's in a bull market, that may or may not be likely, but it could happen. So timing is a big thing. And most people, and I would agree to this, if you're not sure what to do, my humble opinion is if you're not really sure, then just buy it and hold it until there truly is a time where you are ready to use some of that. And arguably the best way then, and that's why we mentioned Celsius some, I'll talk about that in a moment, but at that point you may want to borrow against your Bitcoin. The smart money borrows against their assets rather than selling their assets to get cash. For one, when you borrow your Bitcoin, that's not a taxable event. When you convert it into fiat, it is. So think about that for a moment. So I think that's all we're going to talk about with regards to that article. I'm going to go to Twitter here now. I thought I actually had it up, but I don't. So I'm going to pull up Twitter, pull up my feed. And by the way, would love it if you would follow me on Twitter. I've got about 400 or so. Let's look. 415 followers, which is amazing. Would really like to get to that 1,000 mark so that I can do Twitter Spaces. I do want to expand my ways of interacting with the community by being able to do Twitter Spaces. I was actually on the my first Twitter Space where I actually got to, if you will, contribute. On Sunday night, there was a Voyager Twitter Spaces that was out there, and got to ask some questions, get some feedback from those that were on that call. So that was awesome. Met a lot of new people, got some follows, followed some people. It was great. But if you'll follow me at Shane Trammell, Trammel, at Shane Trammell right here, I would love it. I'll follow you back. I spend more time, I think, on Twitter now than almost any other platform with regards to, research and sharing things other than YouTube. As far as true learning, I spend a ton of hours on YouTube. I've been guessing that I've spent roughly probably around 220 or so hours now since I started, getting into crypto, reading, watching videos, that type of thing. I just really got into it. I mentioned this earlier, but with Bitcoin and Ethereum on Voyager for the rest of the year, the interest rates are locked in, which is great. 5.75 on BTC. You have to have a minimum of 0.01. Ethereum is 4.6 APR. I don't remember the minimum on that. But of course, that you also get those, if you're in the loyalty program, you can increase that. So that's that. Also, I'm not even going to drill into this, but go to my Twitter feed and you'll see these. This is an interesting little tidbit. So bankers are issuing a seismic, get that word, seismic, issuing a seismic warning. Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Cardano, and XRP could replace the dollar in just 5 years as crypto market price adds 1 trillion. So don't know if they'll be right about all of these. I think if any one is true, it's Bitcoin. But some of these others have a chance as well to be a part of that new world in banking. Potentially here is Will Clemente. Now this was the Will Clemente is, I guess, more a bull than he is a bear, but nonetheless he shares just the facts, right? You can't argue with data that's on chain. And so again, 29,696 Bitcoin moved onto exchanges in the last week. Now, could be a number of, I guess there could be a number of reasons that they did that, but the one that we should assume first is that they're preparing to sell those. Now, it could be a false, they could be doing it as a false indicator to try to get people to sell, so they can then, retail, if retail sees this, and if they have weak hands and that they start selling, then obviously as people start selling, price is going to go down, and then the whales can go buy more and then take their coins off of the exchange again. For them, they've got so many that it's worth whatever kind of transaction fee they have to pay to put their coins on there for a period of time, and then to either take them off, or the other possibility is, very real possibility, that they plan on taking profit, which could be bad, primarily for retail. If you're the last to see this, bad only if you don't hold, but nonetheless disheartening, if nothing else depressing, to see Bitcoin go to 50K. Maybe it'll even get to 53K. They start selling and watch it go down to 30 something again, potentially even lower. It could even, I guess it could, I don't think it's going to, it could end the bull market that we're in, but nonetheless, this is something to take into consideration. Again, shout out to Will Clemente. You definitely want to follow him at WC Clemente, and then 3 I's, Will Clemente the third. Follow him. Follow Willy Woo. Follow Digital Asset News. And there's one other that's coming to mind, but it's not on the tip of my tongue. So anyway, let's continue on. Voyager has a giveaway that they're doing, so you need to check into that. This is very interesting. Now this is bullish, as it says. So it's like you got, at the same time, you got a bullish and a bearish kind of thing happening at the same time. There's also a big good inflow of stable coins onto the exchanges, which would indicate, hey, they're getting ready to buy something, so that's like, okay, those are two opposite signals, so who knows what's actually going to happen. Here's Will Clemente again, showing a little bit different graph, but giving the same indication that stable coins are going to be flowing in. As I mentioned, this is our one announcement. Voyager is got a conditional approval. I don't know what conditions, but anyway, conditional approval to list, on the Toronto Stock Exchange. One more step towards the NASDAQ. I believe that's their ultimate goal. Not sure exactly when they'll get there. Not only do I think the VGX token is a good investment, I would also recommend the stock. So it's going to be VYGER. Let's actually just drill down into this for a minute. We'll look at it briefly. So Voyager digital announces conditional approval. Stock will trade on the TSX under the ticker VOYG. And delist from the CE. I don't know if you have, I don't know how that works, honestly. I have to dig into this some. I wonder if you bought it on the OTC, if it gets converted for you. Surely it does. I'm not sure. And I didn't watch this video, if this video says more about it. That's an ad. Okay. Final approving for the listing is subject to the company meeting certain customary conditions. Okay, well, we won't continue the story, but nonetheless, that's a very positive sign. Decrypt, I'll say, since we're talking about tools, definitely go check out Decrypt. Decrypt Media. Follow them on Twitter. Let's see what else. I do plan on accumulating more Voyager. That's true. Would like to get to at least 10,000 that would be great. Also looking to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So it would be our honor and privilege to have you subscribe and put those notifications on so that you'll know when we go live again. So I think that's for the most part it for Voyager. Let's talk briefly now about Swan. So strammel.info/Swan. I'm going to pull it up. This is another place where you can buy Bitcoin reasonably priced, but they got a nice little platform for dollar cost averaging. I do $10 a week. So this is my link. Swan is the best way to accumulate Bitcoin with automatic recurring and instant buys. I say it's the best, probably better to say it's one of the best ways. But if you use this link, you get $10 in Bitcoin for free in your account. And then if we go to sign up, then of course you just enter in your email. And as you can see, they kind of show you the interface. You can do auto. You can say that you want to do daily, dollar cost averaging, weekly, monthly, several different options there. And then you can also set it up to auto withdraw to a wallet of your choosing after a certain amount of Bitcoin has been accumulated. Now, Swan is 100% only Bitcoin. So that's their focus. That's what they do. Not much more to be said. It's a real simple interface. They're great people. They do a lot of good education as well. You can get your own referral link after you sign up. There's a couple of free books, audiobook, some great educational resources as well. Preparing to show you a book over here in a second. So that's Swan. Now let's talk about Stripe just a little bit. And I'm not going to be able to show you Strike, not Stripe. Well, since I have I'm going to have to go to incognito window. Hopefully we'll do it. strammel.info/st. Strike. Let's see if it will. No. Okay. Yep. Oh, I know how I can do it. Sorry. Yeah, let me close this. I've loaded the Chrome interface so I can show it to you this way. Got $20 in there, but once you sign up for it, you can buy Bitcoin with super low fees. There's no automated dollar cost averaging at this point in time. I want to do something here. Okay, there we go. You can withdraw by clicking on this icon here, and then you can scan or cut and paste an address in. You can kind of see how Bitcoin has gradually worked its way down today. You can buy or sell even. I don't see myself selling, but I did withdraw some, put it into Celsius in this particular case, because again, you don't have a minimum amount of Bitcoin to start earning interest. But Jack Mahler, or Mahlers, I'm sorry, Jack, if you somehow watch this, but Jack Mahler has really kind of laid down the gauntlet, if you will, with regards to going towards zero with regards to commissions or fees on buying Bitcoin. There is a small fee right now. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but his goal is to make it when there's enough people on the platform and enough volume to where it's no cost to buy it. So this is another way where you can buy Bitcoin. You're going to have to go on here and manually buy it but you could set up a Excel spreadsheet, set up a calendar on your email, something along those lines, and do dollar cost averaging manually. I'm sure that they will add that at some point. But go to strammel.info/swan is one, or /strike. Strike is actually the one of the tools that they're going to be using in El Salvador. Again, Jack was one thing led to another. He was asked to go to El Salvador, met with the president. One thing led to another. He assisted, I guess, at least with the language of what the bill should be like. They passed the bill. It's been probably over a month ago now, to make Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador. So I'm going to bring up another incognito window and bring up Celsius. I don't want it to actually show my login necessarily. So if you go to strammel.info/CEL for Celsius, CEL, you can get signed up with Celsius. If you use my code Shane, I believe it is, and it's in the description. If you use my code, you get $50 in Bitcoin. So that's one reason to go do it, even if you're the biggest fan of Voyager in the world. Hey, if you can acquire more Bitcoin, do it, right? So as far as the products you can earn, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you can earn, there's your free 50 in BTC. Here are your stable coins, 8.8%, as I talked about earlier in the live stream. You've got some gold tokens, PAX G. That's pretty cool to be able to basically earn interest on gold. So, gold doesn't appreciate typically a lot in value. It's a good store of value, but it doesn't appreciate like Bitcoin would, or Ethereum, or some of the other altcoins. But here you can hold gold, earn 5.5% interest, and technically you can request the physical gold. I don't know all the details of what that would look like. I'm sure you'd have to pay some kind of fee, but this gold is physically stored in a vault in the UK somewhere. Okay, here's your cryptocurrencies. As I mentioned, the first Bitcoin up to 6.2% interest, no minimum. So this is where I would put all of my Bitcoin that I wanted to earn interest in or on, that I didn't want to have in self-custody. I would do it here. Celsius has a really good custody, cold storage system and platform, so it's very secure. It's about as secure, I guess, as you can get it. Yes, there's still risk, I guess. They've never had a loss from what I understand, but nonetheless, the second Bitcoin, or anything after a full Bitcoin, is 3.51, so you're better off once you have more than one Bitcoin to move that over to Voyager. Sorry, Alex Machinsky, if I'm saying his name right. Another amazing guy. Between him and Steve Ehrlich, really two great guys. They're doing some amazing things for those of us in the crypto community. But it's just simple math. If I have more than one Bitcoin, I'm going to take it over to Voyager, because I'm going to earn more interest. This is, if you like synthetics, this is the highest one that I've seen as far as an interest rate of 13.99. Now, yes, if you stake synthetics on some of these other platforms, you can maybe earn more, but there's more risk. Significantly less risk, in my opinion, on Celsius. Matic, have some Matic here. Actually bought it on Voyager. As I mentioned, Voyager, if you remember, is I think 5.5%, which is decent, but this is twice as much, and you get it weekly, compounded weekly. Polkadot, lots of others. I'm not going to go through all of them, but this is the interest part. Now, only going to briefly say this. Right now, you can't really buy crypto on the Celsius platform. You can transfer it in. If you need to transfer it out, they pay for the gas fees, so that's good. There's basically no withdrawal charges, basically, if you think of it that way. But they are going to be adding a swap feature, which would, in essence, allow you to buy crypto. And the way that would be true is if you have USDC or maybe another stable coin, have that money earning interest and ready, you could then swap USDC for Bitcoin, or you could take Bitcoin if you're ready to take some profits, swap that to USDC, and then you're ready to get back in, or maybe you want to then invest in some altcoins, swap to those. There are some initial limits, I think maybe of $80,000 a day. I think it's a day, some things like that. So, but it's going to be a cool feature. You need to look into it. The other one is borrowing. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on this, but you can, if you do a loan to value ratio of, and it's easier to make both of these US dollars. So if I put in USDC here as well, I'm trying to move too fast. There's USDC. If we do the 25% loan to value, if I want to borrow $500, I basically use $2,000 that I have in USDC as collateral, or I could use any of these others. Maybe it's sell instead. So I need 2,000 sell to borrow. Well, no, I need to change that back to 500. There's how many sell tokens I would need. If you actually pay it in sell, you save some money even. So you might have seen that interest thing there change. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up. I talked about Voyager first tonight. One of my most used platforms. I love the platform. I love the community. I love the very generous interest rates on most of the tokens, BTC, Ethereum, and the various different tokens. I love the actual app. I love the fact that a debit card's coming out. I love the fact that here before long I'm going to be able to use a web interface. I love the fact that with the loyalty program, I'm going to get cash back on using the debit card. I'm going to get cash back on my trades. Get a bump, interest bump, depending on what level I'm in, 0.5 or 1% or 1.5%. Very, very cool. I love the price action on the VGX token. I think the stock is undervalued right now. It's something you want to look into. I don't actually own a lot of stocks. I do own some of the Voyager digital stock. I also love the fact that that Voyager Digital is run by a CEO that is very involved in the community, willing to come on shows like this. Steve, if you're seeing this, I'd love to have you come on my live stream sooner rather than later. Doing a lot of cool things with athletes and basically all of that they're doing, all of the marketing they're doing, especially if you're a VGX token holder, that's all to your advantage. It's just like as Facebook grows exponentially, those that own the Facebook stock are handsomely rewarded. It's basically the network effect, and it's a thing. It's real, and many of us believe that the VGX token, the loyalty program, everything, and think about this for a moment. So the VGX token has been as high as 7 earlier in this year, I think, or maybe late last year. I don't remember the exact timing. It took a hit for a while because the loyalty program, some other things weren't coming as soon as they'd originally thought, but it's recovered now back to 4. I think it'll certainly go well beyond 7 before the end of this year, possibly 30 in the years to come. Who knows what it's got in its legs, but we're talking about a company right now that's only able to onboard United States, those living in the United States, and not even all the states in the United States. New York is still not on. There may be a few others, but wait until they're able to get into Canada. Wait until they are, the Market Rebellion partnership has been activated, if you will, where you can actually buy stocks and do options and derivatives, that type of thing. I'm not so much into that, but that's going to bring more people to the platform. And as more people come to the platform, as Europe comes online, as Asia comes online, as Africa comes online, we're talking, I think their goal is like 1 million users or more a year. It's going to be crazy. So my heartfelt and very strong opinion, keyword opinion, is that the VGX token, the Voyager loyalty program, just the platform in general is going to be a place you want to be if you're not already there. If you've got other questions, send me a direct message, follow me on Twitter, send me a direct message, whatever, get in contact with me. There's a number of different ways. Leave a message here on YouTube. Best would be a direct message on Twitter. But anyway, get in touch with me. I'll answer any questions that I can. The whole community, Voyager community, will also answer your questions. But get on the platform, pick a hero, get on the VGX Heroes program. That's a whole nother community there with the Discord server, all the things. As I get to know some of these guys better, I'll be giving shout outs to them as well. If any of you VGX Heroes are watching this, thanks for watching. I'm looking forward to being more involved in the community. And that's pretty much where we're at. I think we've pretty much gone through. Well, there is a couple of other things that I want to do real quick. And I see that Crypto Airborne, I think he had left or she had left for a minute. I'm going to assume it's he. You only need 600. Yes, you're right. You're right, Crypto. But I would love 1,000 instead. But yes, I've heard as well that you need 600. So I'm trying to get there. Crypto Airborne, you just followed me. Thank you so much. Celsius is trash for interest. Not on every token, if we're honest. Again, maybe you know something I don't know, but with Matic, if you don't want to own Matic, it doesn't matter. But with Matic, for example, you can earn better interest there. Now, if you're comparing it to staking pools, sure, but I'm not really comparing it at that level. But if you compare it to Voyager, I think it's comparable. In some cases, Voyager's better. In other cases, Celsius is better. And again, as a educator, if you will, as a content creator, I kind of feel it's my responsibility to try to share and help people understand the different options that are out there. You obviously ultimately get to choose and get to draw your own conclusions. Did want to show you one other thing that I think is just amazing. I just got this book recently, The Bitcoin Standard. I highly recommend this, even if you're not a Bitcoin fan. There's a lot of good economics information in, I think literally the first 6 or 7 chapters, and then towards the end it's mostly focusing on Bitcoin. But I learned a lot. The author, started following him. He's also got a Austrian economics class that he teaches that you can go through free, 30 hours on Sailor University or something along those lines. But anyway, but that was it. That's where I was going to leave it. Again, thank you. We've gone over an hour. It's been a while since I've streamed, a couple of days. And then prior to that, probably a week or so, I streamed for 114 days straight. That's my longest streak. Cryptos R Us and Dan at Digital Asset News and others that stream every day, I have a lot of respect for them. that's something I will probably get to doing again. I've actually, once my crypto does good enough that that I can spend more time doing this, then there's nothing I would love more. But I do appreciate those of you that are a part of this community here on my channel and the broader community, the crypto community, Voyager. If you're on Celsius as well, again, both of those communities are great. They each have their own pros and cons, pluses and minuses, and I'm a big fan actually of both of those two, and everything that I talked about tonight. I'm a fan of it, or I wouldn't actually be showing it. I use all of them. I guess I will leave you with one final thought. If you're looking for a fairly robust, but easy to understand Bitcoin wallet that you can also use on the Lightning Network, I would look at the Blue Wallet. And hey, Aliska, good to see you on the stream. Aliska is one of my friends from the life coach world. So I went through the program to be certified as a life coach with ULA. No longer technically certified, but nonetheless, I'm still a part of that world. It's a great program. I want to check that out if you're interested in life coaching. And for my life coaches that are watching, I talk a lot more about, there are 7 aspects of ULA, 7 F's, but one of those is finances. So this falls in the finance category, and I have, as they say, gone down the Bitcoin rabbit hole or the crypto rabbit hole, and I'm from my finances perspective, certainly can't complain. In that 5-month journey, or however long it's been since March, however many months that's been, that's when I really kind of got started. I've learned a lot. I've lost some money, but a little bit in some transactions, but overall, I'm up a good amount with my portfolio. And so it's fun. It's something I enjoy. It's an area that I think that I can bring value. And so that's what I'm doing. But if anyone has any, parting questions, I'd be happy to try to address those before we close it out. If not, we'll be shutting it down for tonight. But this was episode 126. Our next episode will be episode 127. One of these days it'll be 365, although not straight. So we will have gone live the equivalent of a year at some point in our future. But covered mostly what I wanted to cover tonight. Go check out Voyager. Go check out Celsius. Go check out Swan. Go check out Strike. If you only check out one, I will say, and this will show maybe some favoritism, and that's fine. If you were only going to do one, I would say do Voyager without a shadow of a doubt. If you were only going to do 2, just kind of depends. But yeah, I'll just say Voyager and leave it at that. So until the next time, have a good one. Good night.